Hi everyone and welcome. Today I'm going to show you all of the books that I got for Christmas, New Year's, basically the holiday period. Now I do want to mention that once I get into a hobby, I go more or less all in. So for Christmas all I asked were books and all I got were books. So it is quite the pile to get through. Now first of all I am going to show you 3 books that a friend of mine gifted me. She likes reading books, I like reading books, and she asked, can't we just exchange some gifts to make the holiday period even more festive? And I'm not the one to say 1, no to gifts, or 2, no to books. So we decided to do just that, and her picks were absolutely amazing. The first one that I have here is Children of Earth and Sky by Guy Gavriel Kay. I recently read a book by him, which is called A Brightest Long Ago, in December actually, and I absolutely adored it. It's in my top 10 list of 2022. However, I didn't have another physical book by him, so this is godsend. I can add this to the TBR jar and hopefully read it in 2022 because I want to read more by this author. I think that this is a standalone set in the same world as the majority of his standalones, but also this is in the same set of standalones as A Brightness Long Ago, so perfect timing. Then I have another standalone that is a little bit out of my comfort zone, but it's one of those books that I love to read as a palate cleanser. And that is Keeper of Enchanted Rooms by Charlie N. Holmberg. Now, I thought that this was a standalone. It's actually not. It's the first in a series, but the second book already came out, or it is coming out in the next couple of weeks. This one takes place in the 19th century, and we have a man who has inherited a manor. However, this is an enchanted manor, and once you go in, you can never leave. We have a Mrs., I think Hulda Larkin is her name, and she is a member of the Boston Institute for Keeping of Enchanted Rooms. And she knows what to do against these enchanted manors to make the person who lives there actually able to leave. So she decides to move in with this man and try to unravel the mystery. Of course, this is going to be a little bit of a romance, I suppose, but absolutely here for it. I love that it's different than what I normally read, but it's still not too far out of my comfort zone. So just something fresh and fun to read. And then the last book that she gifted me was Spindle's End by Robin McKinley. Robin McKinley is an author that I've tried at the second half of last year. I read Deerskin by her. And even though that was a book with highs and lows, it definitely made me very interested to read more by her. And I decided to go with this one because this is actually a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Now, I think that it is targeted towards a younger audience, not exactly sure. She has some books that are definitely not for younger audiences, like Deerskin, but then she also has some YA in middle grade. I do not know where this will fall, but Robin McKinley is definitely an author who has a very unique writing style for me. You can see that it's older fantasy, but once you get into it, it reads very fluently. It just takes the time for me to adjust, and I love fairy tale retellings, so perfect pick as well. I also had a Secret Santa with friends, and of course, when somebody draws my name, they know what they need to give me. They need to give me a book. And my Secret Santa went with Rod Goddess Sing by Maya Dean. This is one that I'm so happy to have received because this is a 2022 release that I was extremely excited for. This is basically an Achilles retelling, but it is with Achilles actually being a woman, if I'm not mistaken. Now, I talked about this on my anticipated releases list, and somebody who watched it actually read the book. And I think around July or August, they texted me or they messaged me under one of my videos and said, I picked it up because of you and I absolutely adored it. So this is one that you should definitely pick up as well. Now, it didn't happen in 2022 because I didn't own the book, but now that I have it, I do think that this is a book, both because of the cover and because of the Greek myth retelling vibe, that I would like to read in summer or in the warmer summer months at the very least. But we will see. It is in the standalone TBR jar and it will be given a read. This is one of those unique Greek myth retellings that I just want to try, especially because I recently read Song of Achilles and it didn't really do anything special for me. All of the books that I have right now here next to me are gifted to me by my husband, so this is definitely the biggest pile, and again, he did an amazing job, even though I might have gifted him with a list and told him these are books that I would like. Well, you can't go wrong with a list, right? First of all, I have Hogfather by Terry Pratchett. This is a standalone that's perfect to read around Christmas, and I really like these editions. They are hardback, they are quite nice, and all of them have like the similar art style, and they are not that expensive. I actually wanted to read this around Christmas because, of course, it's very fitting to get this book for Christmas and then read it in those weeks. However, I have decided that I want to go with publication order as far as Terry Pratchett goes. So this will probably be a book that I read in a couple of years, since this is number 30 as we go with publication order. I don't know if I'm going to stick to that schedule. We will see. But for now, at the very least, I am going to keep it next to me and maybe read it maybe next Christmas period. If I've read a couple of Terry Pratchett's and I decide that this is just the one that I want to read at that time period, yes, but I'm not going to start with that one. To start, I am going to go with the first one in publication order, which is The Color of Magic. Hey, still remember, but very happy to have this here and really enjoy these editions. Next up, I got another one that is a little bit out of my comfort zone, but just perfect to pick up between. And actually, when I received this one, I wanted to start reading it right away, but my TBR schedule was not allowing me. So I do hope that as time moves forward, I can just pick up a book on a whim if I want to. But that is The Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. This is a standalone, it's a shorter read, it's 300 pages, the font is absolutely massive. I think that this is one of those books that if I ever do a 24-hour reading challenge, I could read this one in a day. But this is also set in our own world, and I think that we have a witch wanted. So I do not know if this is true, but in a way I think that this is like The Nanny, like the TV show The Nanny, but instead of a normal nanny, this is a witch nanny. I have seen that Beauty Kem Kem has read this book and absolutely adored it. It is a witchy romance. It's good from time to time to have one of these cozy books. So yes, definitely one that I want to read more or less soon. Another one that I'm so happy that I was gifted this one, because Jenny Words recently recommended this one. She had an entire list of recommendations and I did not recognize any of those, but this one I did, and I just got it for Christmas. The coincidence. That is Thomas the Rhymer by Ellen Kushner. Now, this is an author that I have not read anything from, but I do know that Tammy from Tammy Tries to Read has read Sword Point, and she said that that was a very cozy fantasy of manners, if you will. Now, I do not know if this is similar, but it feels like this is going to be some sort of fairy tale. It is blurbed by the same author of Stardust, Neil Gaiman, yes, and I think that this is also portal fantasy in that sense. The blurb read quite similarly, or the premise, as what we have in Stardust. Absolutely adore Stardust. This is fairy tale retelling, or an original fairy tale. I'm very excited for this one. And it's also fitting for older fantasy that I would like to read someday. Now, next up, a book that I picked up because of Chris Bookish Cauldron. Because he reads so many amazing books and he can really give you a feeling of what the book is about and give you a feeling of whether or not you are going to like it. This one I think I am going to love. This is the first in a series, so I cannot pick it up very, very soon, but I hope that I can squeeze it in either this year or next year. And that is Across the Nightingale Floor by Leon Hearn. This is, I think that he said it was a little bit like Game of Thrones, but then with an Asian setting, which, of course, that's all that I needed to know. And this first book is not even that big, which is dangerous for me because that makes me think, well, I can squeeze it in, right? But I think that this is a 6-book long series, so maybe not. But it is only 300 pages, not even. So I think that I will absolutely adore this one. If you don't know me, you must know that, one, I like character-driven stories, but I really adore political intrigue, and then especially if it's not the same old setting of basically European-centered medieval history. So this is one that I think I will like, just because of the uniqueness. Another series that I'm not allowed to start anytime soon, but I'm so excited to do so whenever the time rises that I can, and that is Marie Brennan's A Natural History of Dragons. So the actual series is called The Memoirs by Lady Trent series. This is the first book. This is following a scholar who is roaming the land trying to find clues for dragons. I have heard that in this first book you don't really see a lot of dragons, but that might change in the sequels. These are shorter fantasy reads. I think that a couple of BookTube friends of mine actually read it last year as a read-along. Some absolutely hated it, others adored it. Marie Brennan is the author of the Rook and Rose trilogy, or one of the two authors. M.A. Carrick is a name. I do not know how this is called anymore, like it's not their real name, but it is the name of Marie Brennan and then another author. So because I love the Rook and Rose series so much, I wanted to try something by Marie Brennan and see if I like it just as much. And this is the type of premise of a scholar who is just looking for more knowledge that I will probably adore. Next up, I got the conclusion of a series that I am so excited for. I have extremely high hopes for when I finally finish this series, and that is A Desert Torn Asunder by Bradley P. Bolio, the last book in the Song of the Shattered Sand series. The third book that I read in 2022 made my top 10 of 2022 list. This is the 6th book, so I still need to read book 4, 5, and 6, and then also the main novella of the series. There are other novellas in the series, but I think that the main one is the one that is the longest. I think that maybe that's even a full-length novel, while the other ones are quite short. But I am going to read the full and the main series before I get into the novellas. However, very excited to finish it off this year. So I do hope that I will be able to read book 4, 5, and 6. And now that I do own the entire series, I don't really have an excuse not to. Then another fairy tale that I'm so excited for. I definitely got quite a bit of standalones. That makes me very happy because standalones are low commitment and I love a good standalone from time to time. And this is The Never Ending Story by Michael Ent, I want to say. I have seen the movie when I was very young. It was one of the favorite movies of my brothers, and there was definitely an age difference there. But I recently heard that the story is much bigger than the movie. The movie is only one part of the story. And even though the movie is amazing, the story or the book is actually miles better than the movie. So that makes me very excited. Also, this is a hardcover. My husband said it was not that expensive. And if you go in, I really like this. I don't know if you can see this, probably not. But it's in green and red. And I like that. And the first image of a new chapter is also in green and red, which for a non-special edition that was not that expensive, I'm very surprised how it looks. But yes, I know the movie, don't know anything about the actual book, and I think that it's time to change that. This actually came on my radar when I saw the special edition of Folio Society, but that was just a little bit too expensive for somebody who has never even read the book, but I'm pleasantly surprised by this edition. Now, an absolutely massive series that you have heard me talk about, because this is actually a series that I am going to read in 2023, and that is The Books of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin. This is the complete illustrated edition of all 6 books. Then there is a seventh book that has never been published before, and also a collection of short stories. This is, as I said, completely illustrated. You have a lot of black and white illustrations, but you also have some that are in color. And I do think that all of these were done with Ursula K. Le Guin's permission, and that there was a lot of working together with this. So this is one of the color illustrations, for example. Absolutely adore this book. I also think that quality-wise, you have 7 full-length novels, even though they are a little bit shorter. I think that all of them are around 150 pages. And then you also have the short story collection, you have the illustrations for not that much money. I think if you would buy all of them separately, you would actually come out much more expensive than buying this beautiful illustrated edition. And I also think that this is a special edition like for the 50th anniversary, if I'm not mistaken. Then another standalone that I'm extremely excited for, and that is The Wolf and the Whale by Jordana Max Brodsky. So this is a standalone. I have heard that this also tackles the issues of gender, and it says that this is The Wolf and the Whale blends Inuit and Norse mythology into an epic adventure in the frozen Arctic 1,000 years ago. I know that I'm going to love it. This is such a unique setting. I absolutely adore Norse mythology. I actually do not know a lot about Inuit mythology, but I do think that the author probably has done his research, and I have heard about this from one of my subscribers who said, if you like that type of idea of exploring gender in that way, because I talk about the story of silence, then you are going to really enjoy this one. So yes, one that I'm highly anticipating, and it is in my TBR jar for 2023. Next up, we have the first in a duology. Unfortunately, I think that this was not supposed to be a duology. The author wanted it to be a trilogy, and then that didn't happen, which makes me very sad. But this is Upon a Burning Throne by Ashok K. Banker, the first one in the Burnt Empire saga. This is Indian-inspired, if I'm not mistaken. This is also epic fantasy with a lot of political intrigue. I actually don't know too much about it, but I've heard some people talk about this series that I absolutely trust. And since it's the first in the duology at this point, and the second book has already come out, I just need to give it a try. This is a very long one. It is 700 pages almost. But it says, in a world where demigods and demons walk among mortals, the emperor of the vast burnt empire has died. I love that. And I think that it leaves his sons, or yes, 2 young princes. I am going to absolutely adore this one, and it has been loved by people that I trust to know what good quality fantasy is and have similar tastes as mine. So yes, one that I should try as soon as possible. It is a duology, so it counts as a series. So I'm not allowed to start it in 2022, but who knows? Who knows how my schedule will go? Maybe I have just a lot of open space and I can add anything that I want to. Wishful thinking here. And then we also have a very short fairy tale, and that is A Pocketful of Crows by Joanne M. Harris. Now, this is the author who has also written The Gospel of Loki, and actually have, not The Gospel of Loki, but The Forgotten Runes, something like that, which is also Norse myth inspired by her, but that is the first one in a series. This is a short fairy tale, and she has written a lot of these in the same edition. This is A Pocketful of Crows, which is Love Made Her a Prisoner, Revenge Will Set Her Free, a modern fairy tale of love, loss, and revenge. This is a perfect modern classic. I have heard a lot of great things about Joanne M. Harris as a fairy tale author, so I just wanted to give it a try. This is also just such a beautiful edition because there are also illustrations, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I can already see quite a bit, which for that price range is just amazing. And these illustrations make me quite excited for this one. So another one that has went into the TBR jar, and who knows, maybe I pick it for a 2023 month. Fingers crossed. So these are all of the books that I have gotten from my amazing friends and family, of course. I am so grateful for these. Please let me know if you've read any of them, because of course, even though I have heard other people talk about some of these I have barely heard anything about. Please let me know if you have been gifted books or anything else that you want to share, because of course, I've gotten nothing but books, but there are so many other amazing gifts that you could have received. Let me know in the comments down below. If you want to see the Bookish Secret Santa gifts that I have been gifted by some BookTube friends, definitely watch this video next. I have not included those in this one because I already mentioned it there and there were too many on the list here to also include those. But of course, thank you to those people again. Those were some amazing picks as well, and I definitely know what to read for the next coming years. As always, I hope that you enjoyed this video and see you next time. Bye!